What is going on, guys? This is a Proto Rize review. So we've had a lot of questions about this thing recently. A lot of people asking, hey, make a Max Rize review. So yeah, Max Rize. So this is kind of Proto's second version of this gun, sorta. So previously there was the Proto Rail and then the Proto Rail Maxed, and this is the Rize. So the Rize and the Rail are kind of the same gun. They just changed the bolt a tidbit and then made the solenoid much more robust. So the original Rails had a bit of a solenoid problem. They weren't so reliable and had issues, so they've redesigned it, and the Rize is much better and much more reliable. But this is a Rize review, not a history lesson on Proto's entry-level guns. So what makes this the Proto Max Rize over just the Proto Rize? Max Rize comes with that excellent two-piece barrel right there. It's very similar to the Di-Ultralights. Also has that lever feed neck, so taking hopper on and off is way easier. Has air on off, so that ASA is on and off knob right there, so like hopper, taking the tank off, much easier with the on off. So the Proto Rize has a more typical spool valve bolt design. It's going to be very similar to the other bolts found in like the DM15 or other die guns, but it does have that pancake style solenoid. So unlike the other die guns, this won't have like as crisp of a shot and will feel kind of laggy when you shoot it in compared to the other high-end spool valve guns. But these will be a little bit quieter than other guns in the price, so say like the Axe or Empire Mini GS. One thing I don't like about these though is the trigger. So trigger's right there. So it's really sharp on the side. So the trigger seems to be flat right here, right? And then just bam, just drop off. So when I try to shoot it, I think the triggers are a little more round on the edges, are easier to shoot fast. I feel like I have to get my fingers perfectly like on the front of it to shoot fast. Where the rounded triggers, I just think they feel better. So trigger doesn't necessarily feel bad, it's not like cheap feeling or anything, but I just don't really like the shape. The Proto Rizes also come with the eye pipe, just like really all the die guns have for quite a while now. So the eye pipe is that plastic clear blue piece right there that the eyes see through, so that if you break paint, there's an O-ring that goes through the eye pipe and it's supposed to clear the eyes out. That works sometimes, right? But you can still get paint underneath the eye pipe, and then you can't shoot all the paint out. You have to take the eye pipe out and clean in there. And these also break. People over tighten the barrels and crack them. And over time, just from use, just that O-ring rubbing over it and jostling around when you shoot, they crack. So I don't like the eye pipe. I think the eye pipe was a good idea, but Di's continually poorly executed it, right? They've been trying it for like 10 years now, and it just has problems. I think if Di got rid of the eye pipe and just used a normal breech system, like other manufacturers, they'd probably be better off. So I don't really know how I feel about these now. When they first came out, the maxed version was $330, and its biggest competition at the time was the Mini GS. The Mini GS was $380, yeah. So it looked like a better deal, right? It definitely had a better barrel. Ergonomics are quite a bit different, so these feel better in the hand. But now they raised the price on these and they're $350, and then Empire lowered the price on the Mini GS to $300. I feel like the build quality on the GS is better. It doesn't have a lot of composite parts, or really the GS has no composite parts except for the feed neck. But the whole trigger frame is composite, which again, I don't think it's a big deal. I seem to talk about composite parts a lot, but it's not a problem. For the most part, they never break. Like, I've never seen one of these break. So while I don't dislike the Rize paintball guns, I feel like the Mini GS is a better value. The basic Rize is $250, the GS is $300, so it's $50 more, but it's worth it. The Maxed Rize is $50 more than the Mini GS. The GS is going to be more air efficient, I think more reliable, a little bit easier to fix. Overall, the GS is better. The only thing that you could say the Rize has going for it that's going to be better than the Mini GS is that two-piece barrel. Barrel's definitely better than the one that comes on the GS. But you can always upgrade the barrel. Like say the CP two-piece barrels are really good values. They're $60. So then you only get $10 more than the Proto Rize if you were to put one of those barrels on the Mini GS. That's a Proto Rize review, guys. If you have more questions about the Rize or Mini GS or whatever, leave a question below. I'll answer it. Check out our Mini GS review up top there. Click that round button to subscribe, or check out the Paintball Ruin My Life store on that square box.